Learning the language also connects to your identities, and it was the creativity that came out of students was just amazing. That I just remember laughing, but fully understanding and thinking like, wow, I've never thought about that before. Now it's almost as though people want to replace learning the steps. And learning the steps is how you become an expert. I try to reinstate it's a tool to help, not a tool to replace. So we use technology connected to AI, and then we use sources connected to visuals, and then they use the old resource, which is PowerPoint, to create a gamified lesson because it's so technical at first. But when you get to the advanced area, you can express yourself as yourself once you know the language.
Tutor and Tech. Project about teaching languages, learning, technology, and how they co-evolve together.
Hi, everybody. This is Tutor and Tech, project about teaching languages, learning, and technology, and how they all co-evolve together. I'm Dima Basenka. I'm host of the podcast. I'm also author of the project, and I am also co-creator of Ver application. It is this vocabulary application which helps intermediate and higher level people improve their vocabularies. And today here with me is Dr. Qiana Gray. I'm very happy to have you here. Hi, Dr. Gray.
Thank you. Hi, nice to meet you. Nice to be here.
I want to first thing which I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna read because it's a little bit too much to remember. So, Bachelor of Science in Communication, Master of Science in
Yes.
Education, Doctor of Education in
Yes.
Reading and Literacy, ESL, ELL instructor, online education professor, work in U.S. Department of State, a master's about improvement with technology integration. Is everything correct? And if I'm missing anything?
Yes, that's correct. That is correct.
That is impressive. That is very impressive list. And I wanted to ask to tell a little bit more about yourself. How did you get into teaching? For how long do you do it? And anything else what you may feel like be surprising in your journey for people?
Sure. So I honestly got into teaching kind of by accident. I have always been someone who has always had a desire to help people. So I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I thought about becoming a doctor. I thought about becoming a nurse, but I started working in the medical field and I realized the type of heart that I have, it was too much dealing with sick people. So I saw an opening for a teacher and I thought I would go ahead and see what that line or what that journey would do for me. And the moment that I stepped into a classroom, I knew that was exactly what my purpose was. So once I stepped into the classroom during this time, I was getting my credential as an early educator so that I would be able to work in preschools and kindergartens in America. And that has been my role ever since. And once I started, I wanted to, of course, advance it because I wanted to be able to reach and teach more children specifically. So I've been teaching for over a decade. I don't want to age myself, but I've been teaching for over a decade. For a while, I, of course, was teaching in America. But then the type of free spirit that I have, I wanted to travel. So I moved to Mexico. I got my TEFL certification while I was finishing my bachelor's. Then I moved to South Korea, and that's where I got my master's and my doctorate while also teaching in university in South Korea. And that's just been my journey.
Wow, wow. Yeah, this is very important to know what you want to do, right?
Yeah, yes, very much so.
You sort of already answered, but I wanted to go off script before we started, and I wanted to ask you, why do you do what you do?
I just love helping people. And I know it sounds cliche. I know it sounds cliche, but the type of person that I am, I found that hearts are often taken advantage of by people who need. But I found that when I'm teaching, I'm able to give a part of myself where I don't need anything back in return. So when I'm teaching a child how to read, or I'm teaching a teacher how to use a technology tool, I can give that to them so they can take it and share it with others. And I don't need anything back in return. And that's how I knew that this was what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah, must be so rewarding and fulfilling, this work.
Exactly. Yes.
You also touched on this a little bit, but I wonder if you have anything else to say. In your practice, do you focus on anything specific, or like any part of teaching? And maybe do you think that you are particularly good at something?
I what I focus on is really connected to the need of the institute that I'm working with. So for example, I am a reading intervention specialist for a company, and I am focusing on, of course, helping filling in the gaps that were missed when children were learning to read. But I also teach teachers how to integrate technology into the classrooms. So in South Africa, technology-driven classrooms isn't that big. So I'm teaching sometimes things as simple as using PowerPoint. So it really depends on the needs of the students in the institute. Do I have a favorite? It's reading. It's teaching children how to read is my favorite. I think that I have a bit of a young spirit, so it's easy for me to connect with children and get them excited about learning to read because I focus on what they like while connecting it to what they need to learn. So I would say that my favorite is teaching children to read, and then my second is teaching teachers how to be good teachers, how to enjoy this process.
And also, I wanted to ask: do you also work with adults, or you work with kids only?
Both. So I work with children and I work with adults. So in the ESL field, there's a range. So I work with children and adults, and I work with university students. So I I cover all the areas of ages. So yeah.
Getting a little bit to learning languages. So, how would you split different stages or levels of how people progress through the journey of learning a language, from being beginner to how it progresses to higher levels?
So beginner is usually, to me, a beginner is a focus on gaining the confidence to try to speak, understanding the basic or foundational aspects of that language, whether it's something as simple as the alphabet or something as simple as having the confidence to say hello, how are you doing? My name is. The next level is the more moving into the more complex areas. If you're teaching reading, perhaps it's understanding digraphs, understanding verbs, understanding proper blending. With learning a language, is connected to being able to write, being able to express ideas. So expressing idea can be rather difficult when you're learning a language. I remember students in Korea would say, I'm so funny in my native language, but I'm not funny in English. So, so I think being able to find the connection of keeping your identity while you're learning a new language is the next step because it's where you are expressing your ideas and yourself. And then the advanced level is just being able to put it all together. You can write, you can read, you can speak, and you can express yourself as yourself. So I think if I look at it beyond just a textbook, those are the levels of learning a language.
Yeah, I can totally relate because my native language isn't English, so I can totally relate regarding this point that student had in Korea. But also, there's this interesting thought actually.
Because when you're learning a language, it's very technical. But we as native speakers of your native tongue, my native tongue, we know that we put words together that sometimes shouldn't be put together. We have slang, we have things connected to our culture. So it's way more relaxed, which shows your personality. But when you're learning the language, it's very standard and strict. So when he said that, I just remember laughing, but fully understanding and thinking like, wow, I've never thought about that before. So I think learning the language also connects to your identity because it's so technical at first, but when you get to the advanced area, you can express yourself as yourself once you know the language.
If I would ask you what kinds of profiles of language learners exist based on people's motivation or style of learning, would you be able to distinguish different profiles of learners?
Yes, I believe that there's usually maybe three profiles. I think the first profile is learning for academic purposes. So you're in school and you need to learn this language. Then I believe there's learning for business purposes, where you are now part of a company where perhaps you're doing business with a company and their native tongue is English. So you need to be able to speak in business situations. And then there's for personal preference. So I know a lot of students that I've had in the past, a lot of them were just learning English because they just wanted to feel confident in learning another language. So it was not for work. It wasn't for, they were out of school. They just wanted to be able to have the skill. So I think those are the three main categories of why people learn languages, a different language.
hmm Maybe a bit more personal interest. I wanted to ask if there is any specific level or specific kind of learners for who building up vocabulary or learning vocabulary becomes a priority at certain point.
Usually vocabulary starts to become important around the middle. After you understand the alphabet, that's when your vocabulary starts to be of importance. Because, of course, if you don't know the alphabet, you don't know the sound associations, then you can't create a word. But once you're able to do the blending process, that is when vocabulary becomes important. If you're coming in at an adult level and you're doing it for business purposes, then the vocabulary is also very important, but it's usually important at the beginning because if a nurse is learning the English terms, then they have to know it. They have to start knowing it immediately because it's important. If it's a younger learner, it comes after they learn blending and things of that nature. So the vocabulary aspect just really depends on the purpose. I believe for business purposes, vocabulary is immediately important, especially if it's a specialized business. Like I said, the medical field, engineering, things like that. That's where vocabulary is very important.
Getting a bit to the technology side of things, I wanted to ask you how things are different comparing to the moment when you started as a teacher and now this moment.
I think in the beginning, when I first started, technology was being used, but now it's almost as though, like, I have to tell teachers very often, technology is a instrument or a tool to improve learning, not a replacement of. So I feel like what's being lost in technology is that it makes getting through or getting to the end easier. So like with Chat GPT, I can just type in what I want them to generate. So I don't actually have to research anything. I can have Chat GPT write a research paper. That takes away all the steps that gets you to the point of understanding. And I think that is the issue with technology or the difference between technology then and technology now. That technology was slightly used, a projector, a video, but now it's almost as though people want to replace learning the steps. And learning the steps is how you become an expert, but people want the fast track. And I think that's really the biggest difference. So for me, I try to reinstate it's a tool to help, not a tool to replace. So that's, I would say, is the biggest difference.
Were there any positive changes?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the convenience of technology, the engagement of technology. Yes, don't get me wrong. I love technology. I use it in every aspect of my life, and I think it's such a valuable tool. It helps with time management. Before, I would have to sit and write a whole lesson plan out together, and I would have to find everything. But now with technology, it's right at my fingertips. I can find and pick and choose what I need and I could still customize my lesson and my students' learning experiences and the engagement of technology. Right now, the reality is that all of us, we have very short attention spans, and with technology, we're able to keep people engaged. So there's a wealth of positives, a wealth of positives.
Do you recommend your students to use any kind of applications or software or anything in their learning process outside of class, probably?
So because of the population that I'm working with, I have been encouraging them the understanding or start the understanding of using Google products. So Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Forms, things connected to not only time management, but also ways to engage their students. So, and it's right at their fingertips. They don't need to have any outside sources like a flash drive and things of that nature. So that has been a focus of encouragement connected to technology lately.
Nice. I'm curious to ask you. Are there any any tools which you specifically adopted in your process, whether in class or outside of class, within the last 3 5 years?
Let's see. I have really gotten into AI. I won't pretend I can have it. Chat GPT. Leonardo. I love to use Leonardo to create any type of graphics that I'm working on to enhance my lesson. Let me see what else. HeyGen. HeyGen is great if you want to use any tools connected to presenting information to your audience. Of course, I use Google Drive and then Canva. Um, so yeah, I use a lot of technology. My life is technology. I love technology. So yeah.
If you would recommend anything to teachers, how they can incorporate new things into their process, whether it is something what they use in classes or what they can recommend their students. If I would ask you one or two things which you would recommend to somebody who teaches, what would be those two recommendations?
Well, there's so many websites now to help with learning, like A to Z learning. It really is A to Z. It incorporates video, it incorporates games. It's depending on where you're located, it's very focused on the standards connected to the school district that you're in. So I think that's a great website. Again, I love Google products because it's right there and everything could be right in my drive. I'm very big on using old to create new. So engagement with PowerPoints, gamifying lessons, is something that I've been teaching also to gamify your lessons, whether it's including a game or creating entire game out of your lesson. Using Chat GPT. So for example, in my last university class, I had them use Chat GPT to create a story, but then I had them use outside visuals, things like that, to make the story come alive in a PowerPoint game. So we use technology connected to AI, and then we use sources connected to visuals, and then they used an old resource, which is PowerPoint, to create a gamified lesson. And it was the creativity that came out of students was just amazing. And I always tell them this is not just for a grade. You can take this into your classroom. Yeah, I think combining old with new or reinforcing all the new is just a great way to enhance any learning experience.
So like in the whole journey, right? So you build the story with help of AI, then you also visualize thing and you put it into PowerPoint or any other tool to make a compelling story or a game. So throughout the whole process, there are like different tools which they use, right?
Yes,
Nice.
absolutely. Yep.
And there are right now new tool comes out maybe every week, right? People may feel a fear of missing things out in terms of, oh, like what should I use? There is a new thing comes on the in the App Store this week, and then another week, and then things pop at you in Instagram or social networks. Use this tool, which is going to help you do this and that. and it's very hard to navigate because it's so many tools which promise that they're gonna effortlessly make you fluent speaker. Yes. So what can you advise to people who learn languages? How should they approach technology so that it is sustainable process for them?
Advise that you find something that I believe discernment is very important in the land of saturation. Discernment of picking what is best for you is very important. So if you are trying to learn vocabulary, like with your app, if we are trying to learn vocabulary, stick to this because it works. If you keep switching apps, then you're going to lose the progress. So you want to stick to something. I want to learn vocabulary. I'm going to use Dimitri's app. This is going to help me with a new vocabulary word every single day. I'm going to stick to this because it's going to keep me connected and focused on my progress. I'm not going to move to another one because it's going to cause confusion, and usually what happens is that you'll have all these apps on your phone, and then eventually you're not using anything. You
Yeah,
lose the purpose. So I would
happened to all of us.
switch. Exactly. I have so many apps I have to go back and delete because I'm not using them. But the discernment is realizing if this is working, I'm going to stick to this until I'm able to progress, and then maybe look for an app that maybe will fill in what this one is not providing me. But I would encourage, find something that provides you the opportunity to be engaged, to be focused, and that shows your progress. Because if you keep skipping apps, you're going to lose your progress and you're going to feel like you're not improving. So stick to one thing, see your progress, allow yourself to grow before you start deciding if you're going to add something else in, because we'll get overstimulated and we'll forget, and then we'll say, I'll just watch Netflix. So we want to make sure that we focus we focus on one thing at a time. That's what I would encourage.
Nice. So I like it. So know what is important for you. What is your goal, right? And then choose something, and then stick with it until you see or feel progress, and then see if it works or not. And stay away from Netflix probably for a while.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I got a sense that you are not being intimidated by changes which coming with AI, whatever technology brings to us, right? I have a sort of traditional last question which I ask everybody, and I'm gonna still ask you, but I think I know the answer. Do you think that AI in the end gonna replace teachers and tutors, or no?
No. I think that there is nothing like human connection. I think that me being able to sit and talk to you through technology is amazing, but the purpose is still human connection. So if you were a computer, it would not feel the same. But we're able to have a conversation. You're able to relate to what I said about the guy. You're able to relate. And so this human interaction, it can't be replaced with AI. And as I said before, AI technology is a tool to enhance. It's a time saver. It's an enhancement to your learning experience. It allows engagement, but it will never be able to replace human connection. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. I watched The Terminator, so I think that's best.
I actually like it so much that you mentioned it, that the end purpose is to communicate with another human being, right? And there is nothing which can teach you to make this whatever, is it the last mile or the first mile, to actually master this interaction with human being, other than actually this interaction. Yeah, I like it.
Exactly.
Okay, if you have any plans or anything what you want to share with people who watch or listen to this, or also share maybe with people how they can reach out to you or get to work with you, this is the time for you to share this.
Oh, okay. Again, my name is Dr. Qiana Gray. I am a professor, reading intervention specialist. I can be found at Believe, BEELIEVE in reading.com. That's our website, or I can be found through email at admin, ADMIN, at believeinreading.com as well. I represent anyone who wants to enjoy the process of learning while enjoying the process of teaching and helping people. That's who I am. So if you have any desire to help a child learn to read, if you need anyone to teach any workshops, then I'm your girl.
Great, thanks a lot. That was Tutor and Tech and Dr. Qiana Gray with us today. Thanks everyone for watching and listening.
Thank you.
Tutor and Tech. Project about teaching languages, learning, technology, and how they co-evolve together.